Konbanwa. Irashaimase. Welcome to my not a podcast, Paprika Girls Midnight Diner. I am in a bit of a diary mood today. Don't you feel like that sometimes? I have kept a diary since I was a little girl. In fact, I'm very consistent and have diaries from the years I first arrived in Japan, too. Sometimes I reread them and think, oh, how dreadful, look at all these mistakes I'm making. A part of me wants to burn the thing so that no one would ever know how silly I was when I was younger. But then again, another part of me imagines a scenario where a great-granddaughter might chance upon it in 100 years from now, and instead be comforted to know that great-granny was once a silly donut too. So there they are, still hidden away in my closet. Today is the 11th of November, season Ritto, the top of winter and micro-season of Tsubaki Hiraki Hajimu. The tsubaki begins to blossom. Now, here's something interesting. There is a kanji for the tsubaki flower we all know, which is ki hen ni haru, that is, identify your ki, which is tree, next to the kanji for spring. But this one is written yamacha, or mountain tea. What is mountain tea? Well, it refers to tsubaki oil, in the same way one might call homemade whiskey moonshine. Tsubaki oil isn't illegal, of course, but it's fruit of the tree that comes from the seeds of the split tsubaki bulbs. Anyhow, this also tends to be a bit of a linguistic play, for November is also the month of RO-BIRAKI, or what is effectively the Tea New Year. In October, one is encouraged to use up all the tea in the house, so that new and fresh tea may be purchased in November. This is a cycle one tends to get used to, and therefore tea consumption and buying habits will begin to reflect it. May I make a side note here? I find that often there is a type of person who tends to think of every statement as a hard and fast, black and white rule, when such is very rarely the case. I'm quite sure that if I were to say, finish up your tea in October so that you may buy new tea in November, someone will comment in panic, but what if you have a whole canister left? Should you just throw it away? Or, what if you need tea in October? You can't buy it then? To this, I respond, dear, use your common sense. The thought of a tea new year is simply another celebration of the passage of time. No tea master will come by and toss all your good matcha out the window should she discover it was not purchased in November. There are no hard and fast rules for the daily consumption of tea, just suggestions. It is like my entire timeline. I post what I think others might like to see. What colors are prevalent in seasonal fashion? What flowers one might chance upon during a stroll? Perhaps an interesting item that made my life better, or a decoration that may improve the home. Nothing is a rule. Everything is a suggestion. So, please take nothing I say as a command. Surely, as I am just one little old lady in Kichijoji who is doing her best to improve my family life and share what joy I have discovered with others. Back to the RO-BIRAKI. The term of RO-BIRAKI means the opening of the hearth. There is a dugout hole in the middle of a tea room, usually covered by a square of tatami. When it is opened, you place a metal box into the hole and fill it with ashes and then coals, and on this one places the kama, the big iron teapot. During most of the year, the kama is placed on top of the tatami. This is called a furo, or elegantly translated, the hearth touched by the wind. Only during the winter does one use the dugout ro. When I first open the door, it is inevitable for my Sphinx cat to jump down into the metal box, then look up at me and mew, as if to tell me there is a hole in the floor with nothing in it. He is very right. My cat loves when anything in the room has been changed or added. He is the first to inspect it. He's cautious about it, sniffing and prodding before he's sure it's safe to touch. But it's fascinating for him to know right away whether a change warrants inspection. It is a big distinction in personality from our kitten, Sango, who upon filling the door with ash, proceeded to walk right across the ash while we weren't looking, leaving the daintiest little kitten paw prints in the ash. We decided not to rake the paw prints away and left it there for quite some time. It reminds me, ash is a lot of fun during winter. Not only is it in the row of my tea room, but in the base of my naga hibachi, our other cold furniture from ages past. There are a number of utensils you can use to rake, shape, and pattern the ash. A gentle and relaxing thing to do while watching the snowflakes fall. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It's autumn, not yet winter. One thing I have noticed while keeping the Nanaju Nikko, the traditional calendar. So much of society is trying to rush time. Some shops will have Christmas decorations for sale in October. There will be Valentine's stuff sold in December. It's like they want to completely skip a month and have the next holiday now. Well, if you do that, you only find yourself getting older and older, and one day looking back, wondering where all the months in between went. I was just listening to Uncle Weed. He is a wonderful, analog, old-school creative. Very hands-on, all about texture and the senses, and the deliberate gathering of that which becomes memory. It is almost as if the gentleman is speaking from another era, with his Dylan-esque banjo strumming making his words sound like beat poetry. You groove with every thought. I mention him because his videos always remind a person to slow down and be more deliberate about their daily lives. The little things we do, the color of the leaves, the changing temperatures. All of these minor elements of life too often are seen as passing annoyances and not the visceral existence we should be appreciating. There is a large segment of Gaijin Twitter that spends a good deal of time complaining about the weather. It's too hot, it's too cold. Have one chilly day in October and Japan has skipped autumn. And another warm day and suddenly it's global warming will kill us all. And did I mention Japan hates trees? Alarmists everywhere. These are the types that will be unhappy no matter where they live. But types like Uncle Weed, and on that same vein, Softy Papa and Ohazasu, these are the types that will be happy anywhere. They see the chill as a fresh hint of the oncoming season. The warm breeze as a lingering reminder of a love gone past. And take every sense as a moment of celebration of life. For that's truly what we're forgetting as we barrel forward from one season to the next. That every moment of life is a gift, and we ought not to take it for granted. That is a strong theme in tea. Chado is essentially a method by which we force ourselves to slow down and appreciate the moment. Sokkon sokkon is my motto, if I had one, right up there with hevel hevel. Perhaps I like repetition. It reminds me of one of my favorite online musers, Grizzle, Gray, and Gaijin, who often repeats terms for dramatic effect. But back to the sokkon sokkon, it means to live in the moment. When our minds are whizzing around and scolding us about the things we have not done yet, and that stupid thing we said, and how we have not amounted to anything, Sokon reminds us to take a breath, see the shadows, smell the wood, taste the tea, and be thankful we are here to imbibe it all. During this period of RO-BIRAKI, we enjoy the new tea, use candles in our tea practice, and enjoy the sounds of the winds whistling and coals cracking. We eat zenzai, a porridge of anko bean paste and mochi. And we reconnect with old friends, inviting them to a cup of tea even if we have not seen them in many years. This is all a celebration of the uniqueness of the season. All seasons should be celebrated in this way, but we forget, and time passes and suddenly the year is over. This is precisely why November and RO-BIRAKI is so important. A last meditation before the year truly comes to an end. Before this season comes to a close, I will most definitely need to have a momichikari party to enjoy the leaves. I need to clean out my closet of all the old items I do not need anymore. And, Flat Stanley will be arriving from California. I have 2 little nephews in California, one who is now 7 and one who is 5. When the 7-year-old was 5, his kindergarten sent me a little paper doll colored by my nephew so that I may photograph him during the year-end festivities in Japan. It arrived on the 27th of December, so I only had a couple days to show him enjoying the season. Well, it is time for the arrival of flat nephew number 2. In an attempt to have him arrive earlier than last time, I asked my little sister to tell the school to send him early. They did, but they only applied domestic postage. The letter was returned to my sister tout de suite. She took the letter to the post office and sent it express. It was supposed to arrive in Japan within 7 to 10 business days, but 2 weeks later, it has not arrived. We tried tracking the item. It went from one town in California to the next, eventually all the way to Indiana, mulled around between 2 towns over there, and is, as of today, being returned to California. It has been a whole month since the letter was sent. 7 to 10 business days, my patootie. Those of us living in an efficient country abroad, like Japan, must never take the little things for granted. Finally, a bit about a new side project I have been working on. I have far too many side projects and really shouldn't start a new one. But for now, I have decided to limit myself to 10 installments and see where that goes. It will give me a goal and time to decide if it is unsustainable. Every Wednesday from now on, I'm going to release one little comic exclusively on X, which I shall call the Eternal Expat. It shall feature 2 characters, Negative Ned, who is sure that the world is out to get him and takes offense to absolutely everything, and Happy Harry, who is a sunao and objective man who stoically sees the positive in every situation. The characters will be set in a situation in Japan which is often a point of contention for expats who live in the country. While Ned will continuously make himself miserable by misunderstanding it, Harry will offer an alternative way to look at the situation, and perhaps, therefore, some insight. Let me explain why I'm drawing this. I have been an expat my entire life, from the very first move as a child to Europe when the Berlin Wall fell, to my emigration to Japan 20-odd years ago. No matter where I went, the expat crowd would be the same. One half would go with the flow, learning and living and enjoying the experience. The other half would take everything that went wrong as a personal insult and indicative of the country as a whole. I've decided to summarize these 2 perspectives in order to give some objectivity to the situations. My hope is that those who read it may see themselves in one of the 2 characters. Naturally, No one is always negative nor always positive. So I'm hoping that it will give an opportunity to let off some steam in either direction. For this reason, I won't comment on any of the comments left beneath the post. I will let them be as they are, for these are slices of life, insights into personality, and a reflection on the state of people engaging with the concept. Of course, it could be that no one engages at all, or that no one has experienced either situation. Anyway, that is the charm of social media. It is all an experiment. I just noted now that I'm not drinking sake. No, I'm not. Instead, I have a nice cup of St. John's wort tea. It is a nerve-calming tea, and those on the internet are bound to comment that if you drink too much, you're going to destroy your liver. But, it's either this or alcohol, so one or the other. And I only drink this maybe once a month, maybe, when it is necessary. Herbal tea is a lovely alternative before bed. I will finish with a final thought. It is a common theme that social media is quite a negative place. I admit I'm weak and grouchy at times, just like anyone too. But still, it is an algorithm. We make it what we want it to be. If we choose not interested to negative media, if we choose not to engage with the clickbait or the flippant head-heating comments, we can make it a peaceful place. We can also increase the positivity of the atmosphere by posting original and positive things. Yes, the train is late, or the house is in shambles, or the bills are high, or the person across the aisle might have given you a side eye. But that is what we want to bury, rather than what we want to highlight in our lives. So never mind that now. Let's instead create an escape, a moment of beauty. Notice the fluffy clouds in the sky, the changing leaves, the flowers growing in the concrete. Let us share what gives us happiness and peace, and let all the rest of it fall away and be forgotten as if it never was. Oyasumi.